last game is Titans at Broncos. And this line moved in real time. When you were talking about the Steelers and Giants game, this line popped up 1.5 points. So now it's Titans -2.5. This line opened up Broncos -2. And it was -1 when we started this podcast. And now it's -2.5. So it could be headed toward 3. So who do you like in this game?
That's very weird because I saw this line as even earlier today. So I like the Broncos even more than I already did. And I just have to very quickly pick Saquon Barkley in this fantasy draft that I'm participating in. Okay, now that's done. But there are a few things that I wrote about the Broncos and why I like them. First of all, Jurrell Casey revenge game. He was traded from the Titans to the Broncos this offseason. I think he'll be motivated to go against his former team because they really offloaded him for nothing, like a 5th-round pick or something. Denver has upgraded their offense a ton via the draft, and they're getting healthier on defense. Bryce Callahan's back. They lost Chris Harris, but they traded for AJ Boye, who I think should be an okay starter. The Broncos have an altitude advantage. I mean, that cannot be overstated for teams that may not be well conditioned because of the lack of a preseason. That'll be a huge advantage for Denver. And the Broncos are equipped to slow down Derrick Henry and make Ryan Tannehill kind of win this game for them. Henry notoriously starts the year slowly too. But I'm a fan of the Broncos in this one. I will probably go with them for 3 or 4 units, though I'm now seeing that apparently Von Miller tore his ACL, according to Andrew.
Yeah, I just Googled it, and yeah, they're saying he suffered a season-ending ankle injury in practice. That's rough. That would explain the line movement. I was like, why would this line move like that? So yeah, it probably almost certainly going to go to 3 now. Now that Von Miller's out, so that sucks. It's a shame. Not only for Miller, but for this team. I like the Broncos. I thought they could make the playoffs. It's going to be a lot harder without Miller, especially against the Chiefs. The Chiefs, like, you need all hands on deck to beat the Chiefs, and the Broncos haven't been able to do that. They haven't been able to beat Mahomes, and then and the Raiders are going to be tough too because the Raiders have a great offensive line, so they would need Miller against the Raiders. So I think this locks them into the third place in the AFC West. What do you think before I get my take on this game?
Yeah, I may like them a little more than the Raiders. Like, I may have them at number 2 just because I'm a little bit more bullish on their offensive progress. But the loss of Miller is massive, and that does explain the line movement. Man, that's such a bummer for this team because I really thought last year they were underrated compared to how they actually performed. They had a couple of really tough, close losses early in the season. And, Vic Fangio kind of was dealt the brunt of the blame for that. But there's really stuff out of his control, and yet another thing out of his control happens here. I still like the Broncos this week, though, because I think they'll be kind of have like an emotional, like, we should win this game from Vaughn type thing. But yeah, I don't know how far they can go in the playoffs without him.
Yeah, so I like the Broncos here for sure. I don't know, like, Ryan Tannehill favored on the road against a decent team. It doesn't seem right to me. Like, Tannehill is not a good quarterback. Like, even though he was in the top 100 for some reason, we've seen that teams playing in the second Monday night game at night hosting it. They just have a tremendous edge for some reason, and maybe this might be a little bit different because the fans won't be there. So that might have an impact, but generally, these West Coast teams that get to host East or Central Time teams, they have a bigger advantage. So I think that could help Denver out a lot. And I still think the Broncos are a really good team. They still have great defensive players. Drew Lock in his second year, that should help. They have a great receiving core. They added Melvin Gordon. Jurrell Casey, as you mentioned, that was a big addition for them. And of course, the Titans got Jadeveon Clowney, so that changed a little bit too. I think that swung the Broncos being favorites to the Titans being favored, and now the Titans are -2.5. But I still like Denver. I had 3 units. I had 2 units listed for Denver at +1. Unless we get +3, I'm probably going to drop it to 1 unit, but +3 would look a lot more appealing. I really have a tough time seeing the Titans going into Denver and winning by more than a field goal,
Yeah, I absolutely get that. I'm going to have to see where this line settles and then kind of reassess from there. But I think Denver should win this game. The altitude advantage is the big thing I'm focused on. I just think that the conditioning of the Titans players like it can't be that good at this point in the season. So we'll see if that ultimately ends up being proven right. But I think the Broncos will be motivated and ready to go.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, that's it for our week 1 NFL picks against the spread. It was a lot of fun doing this. We had more agreements than disagreements, which is I think is a good sign. I'll take it as a good sign.